Thank you very much, Maria Goretti, and thank you very much more generally to the organizers for inviting me to contribute to this conference, very interesting conference. I would like to touch on today the cooperation and access to justice for international tourists HCCH project, which is also known as the HCCH Tourism and Visitors Project. I'm talking obviously today in my personal capacity, but I must note, as it was just underlined, that I've been involved as a consultant in the early phase of the project. My final report, which is of December 2018, is actually, strangely enough, not available under the projects tab on the HCCH website, but within the preparatory documents for the 2019 General Council meeting. And it is true that this project has evolved greatly. While it is still characterized as a legislative project on the HCCH website, in reality, it is no longer. It was one, but it is no longer. We started with hard law because the original idea was that of a binding international convention. We continue with soft law, and the idea here was to have some kind of principle or setting up of a platform, and we end up with no law, but a mere guide as of February 2021. So we started with hard law, and now we are with no law at all. So the current action plan is, according to a February 2021 document, which is publicly available, I have no privileged information, to draft a guide informing tourists of existing redress mechanism. This is very welcome in itself, as an information gap has been identified as a major gap in the protection of tourists by many. However, it doesn't solve any of the obstacles faced by tourists in accessing these redress mechanisms, because these redress mechanisms are primarily fought for residents, and some of them do require a presence in the country. So you can inform the tourist as much as you would like on this system, they just are not necessarily available. And the end result is therefore quite disappointing. The question therefore arises of whether another forum should not be preferred to go further, or at least added. And this is especially true since the unsuccess of the project, which is within the HCCH, is probably due in part to those who believe the HCCH is not the right forum. And again, this is not privileged information, this is publicly expressed, again, in this 2021 document I'm referring to. Two international organizations come to mind. The first one is UN CITRAN, through its ongoing work on online dispute resolution. And of course, the UNWTO, and I believe we have very recently heard a speech from its legal advisor. Perhaps it's through a collaboration of these three international organizations, each bringing to the table their own expertise, that this project will succeed. It is this idea that I would like respectfully to submit to your learned views and your experience. And maybe it is here in this Brazilian-led conference that the key to the success of this Brazilian origin project will be found. Thank you very much.
Professor Guinchard, it's really an interesting explanation. It's, I think we could have a glimpse, a better idea what's going on there in the HCCH and the hard work you did there.
Speeches, but I'm very glad to see that the UN WTO project is going through at last. And it seems that COVID has had, to say the least, very negative impact on many aspects of life, but it seems it has given a boost to some of the projects which have been sometimes a bit slow to get through the process. So I was very pleased to hear where we are coming from with the last intervention from John Downes, and I didn't know he was an academic at some point. And also I was very glad to see with Madame Alicia Gomez that the project is, the UNWTO project is ready reaching the very last stage. So that's very pleasing to hear.